podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.
PNR.
Blueberry.
This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
The Big G, Tokyo Town, StompDown.
It's the Big G Tokyo Town StompDown, and you're invited for another episode of Complete Mayhem! Woo! I'm Kim Brown.
I'm TC Kirkham, brought to you by Subject Cinema, eCinemaOne, and Kaiju Corner, our Patreon-only kaiju show.
Yes.
Lots of great stuff going on all month long, 31 days of Godzilla, as we count down toward Legendary's release of the 2019 version of the movie Godzilla King of the Monsters. Cue squee from Kim. We are up to the sixth movie in the Godzilla series that we're doing.
It is the sixth.
It is the movie that has, in the Western world, is known mostly as Godzilla Vs Monster Zero.
Yes.
But in the original titles, which is what we're using here, it is known as Invasion of Astro-Monster.
Yes, it is.
Astro-Monster.
Kenny. I know nobody got that joke.
It's a big Astro-Monster.
Kenny! And nobody still got that joke, but anyway.
And it's about aliens. You know what makes them aliens in this movie? Plastic outfits and sunglasses. Really? Okay.
Well,
I actually like this one. I've seen this one several times on Svengoolie. I like this one for its sheer ridiculousness. So
yeah,
we'll go on from there.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. This is when, oh gosh, now being a loyal Godzilla fan, you know, we are supposed to tote the company line and be like, you know, all Godzilla films are important and they all have a message and it's all really important. How dare you say it's not, and blah, blah, blah. You know, I really want to be able to do that, but I can't.
Why?
Can't. This is part of the Showa series of Godzilla films. And
the first 2 weeks are Showa series, I think, close to it. So.
Yeah. This was also the second collaboration film-wise between Toho Studios and UPA. So that's something.
Interestingly enough, there was a huge gap in the releases. Japan released this in December 1965. Here in the States, it didn't come out till July 1970 due to various issues with distribution and stuff between Toho and UPA and Marin Films.
When it did come out in America, it was on a double bill with War of the Gargantuas.
Now, which one is that again? I know we've seen that too.
That's the other one. I think is Nick Adams in that one too?
Probably.
I think it's either Nick Adams or Russ Tamblyn. It's Russ Tamblyn. I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's the one where you've got the one monster that's green and the other monster that's brown, and they're brothers and they fight each other, and it's you know.
I've seen it once. I don't remember that well.
Yeah.
This was the first Godzilla film to feature an American player after Nick Adams is part of the cast.
Yes, he is. When he says first American, he means first American that was actually in the original movie as opposed to Raymond Burr.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Sorry.
This film is set in the year 1960 whatever, because it's 1960X.
Woohoo!
Damn that metric system. Screws everything up. And so you have these two astronauts, a Japanese astronaut named Kazuo Fuji, and his partner, who is an American astronaut named Glenn. We never find out if Glenn is his first name, his last name, his whole name. He's just referred to as Glenn, which I'm assuming was a tip of the cap to John Glenn or Glenn Campbell. Your guess is as good as mine.
I'm Glenn Campbell. Anyway.
So they have been sent to investigate this planet called Planet X, which has just apparently shown up out of nowhere. because that's what happens in these kind of
If
movies.
they're investigating, do they have Detective Pikachu with them?
No!
Well, I'm just thinking it's a Japanese movie.
You're getting obsessive about this. Movie's not even out yet, and that's what we need. Pikachu versus Godzilla. That'd be a great movie.
It lasts 3 minutes.
Yeah, but it'd be really... You thought Bambi
I
versus...
want to see Pikachu get squished.
You thought Bambi versus Godzilla was short. Woo! Pikachu! All right. Don't be a bitch. So they go to this planet, which has very precious little vegetation on it, if I remember correctly, or cities, or anything. As it turns out, they're all underground and stuff. They are greeted by the people that live on this planet who look like human beings, which should have been a tip-off right there. Something was wrong. Who are called Zillions. At least I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah, I think that's right. Zillions makes sense to me.
And they are brought before the leader of the Zillions, who is referred to as the Controller. Because that's not a little bit unnerving. The aliens bring them to their base, which, as I mentioned, is underground. And the reason that it's underground is because the surface of the planet is unlivable. And the reason why it's unlivable is not because of atmospheric problems or lava flows or killer bunnies or anything like that. It's because of a monster that they call Monster Zero. Because they number monsters on this planet because they're wicked anal. I don't know. And the thing is, when Monster Zero decides to show up and do his apparently daily just wrecking stuff, it's like he has a schedule. Okay, Carnage over here, Mayhem over here, wreck stuff over there. Oh, I have to move that around. That kind of a thing. So the monster shows up, and the astronauts, stop shaking your head. I'm trying to at least make this entertaining. The astronauts are like, wait, we know who that is. That it turns out it's King Ghidorah. Spoiler alert. Or Ghidorah, depending on how you pronounce it. So the monster shows up and, blows up some rocks and things like that, just to show how much of a badass he is. The Controller explains that Ghidorah has been attacking their planet and they have to live underground because they're scared of him because he's a giant three-headed golden dragon. What the hell more do you need to know? So what they did...
maybe we should ask it about its feelings. I mean... We want to know why it's attacking, don't we? We should ask it, find out why it feels that it has to attack this wonderful little planet, don't you think? Very Al Gore moment.
I was going to say, okay, Mr. Gore, when you get to work on that. So the controller asks the Earthmen, because apparently they think that all Earthmen have the right to do this. They want to, for lack of a better word, rent Godzilla and Rodan. Well, no, because they're offering something in return, so it technically would be renting.
Okay. Or leasing.
However, they want...
What's that on?
That's just so absurd. They want to lease Godzilla and Rodan
in exchange for a cure for cancer.
Yeah.
Although in the American dub it says it's a cure for anything, any disease.
They're like, well, we have this thing that can cure absolutely every disease you've got. We'll give it to you if you'll let us borrow Godzilla and Rodan.
And a cup of sugar on the side.
Long enough to chase Ghidorah off. And the astronauts are like, okay, we'll go back and let our leaders know that this is what you want to do, because we don't have the authority to make this happen.
Right.
Well, there's another side plot that actually turns out to be part of this. There is an inventor. His name is Tetsuo, and he has this. He's invented this machine. It's actually a really good idea. They actually exist. Now, yeah. I don't think it existed back then.
No, but I think it was on the verge of it.
Probably. It's an alarm that a person, presumably a woman, not necessarily a woman, because we don't want to be sexist here on this show.
Right.
That, like, say you're just herp-derping down the street minding your own business.
I'm just herp-derping down the street minding my own business.
Thank you. And some, bad, nasty ne'er-do-well jumps out of an alley with a knife and says, "Grr, give me all your money, I'm a mugger."
You bad, nasty ne'er-do-well, I will not give you all my money.
So if you have this device on you and you press it, it looks like a woman's compact. Mm-hmm. And if you press it, think of the loudest car alarm you've ever heard in your life and multiply that by about 50.
The ones that we actually had here for a while in the 70s were aerosol driven. They were in a like almost a spray can, and it was called a screech alarm. That thing was noisy. I had one of those when I was a kid. Man, we played around with that thing like you wouldn't believe. Probably drove the neighbors nuts.
Okay. So he's...
We're talking 77, 78, somewhere.
So Tetsuo is approached by a woman who runs, she's a well-known businesswoman named Namakawa, and she's like, oh, you have this great invention, it's really wonderful, we want to buy it from you and, patent it and sell it, and, you'll get all this money and all this stuff like that. And he's like, okay. So he, gives her the plans and everything, but she winds up, dropping off the face of the earth before he gets paid. So now what all this has to do with the astronauts is that, and it does, trust me, Tetsuo is involved with astronaut Fuji's sister, Haruno. And Fuji's whole thing is, why are you involved with that guy? He's a loser. He's never going to make anything of himself.
Which he says right in front of the guy.
Yeah. So
rude.
Fuji's kind of a Richard. I can't say the word that he won't let me say. Fuji's kind of a jerk. He's an older brother, and he's trying to be protective of his sister. You don't want your sister getting involved with some schmuck that's, now apparently come up with this really great invention, sold it, and didn't get paid for it. So, as it turns out, Tetsuo sees this woman, Namakawa, and she's apparently dating Glenn, or at least she and Glenn obviously know each other because they're like some serious kissing going on in one scene. Yep. The thing is, when Tetsuo tries to follow them, he winds up getting captured by some creepy dudes that turn out to be spies from Planet X.
Woohoo!
Big surprise.
Oh, no, I guess not.
Big surprise, they're not the benevolent aliens that they made out like they were.
Benevolent aliens? When would that ever happen?
Yeah. Gosh, this sounds awful. What, aliens that pretend they're benevolent and turn out to be like world-conquering monsters? Why does that sound so familiar, D? Both versions. So anyway, the astronauts finally decide, hey, this might actually be too good to be true about this whole cure for everything disease in exchange for our monsters. I'm like, monsters?
They've been kind of suspicious from the beginning.
Well, Glenn has. Well, yeah. I love the whole our monster. Your monsters? Excuse me?
They're Earth monsters.
They're Earth monsters. They act like they got these things on a freaking collar.
Oh, I don't think that's what they meant.
Freaking annoying.
I think that's not true.
So, as it turns out, these 3 spaceships from Planet X show up in Japan. Just Japan. And the controller's all like, yeah, hi, I know we haven't actually finalized the whole deal yet, but we're kind of in a rush because, this stupid dragon thing won't stop bugging us. So they find Godzilla and Rodan, who are apparently both just hibernating, napping, taking a siesta, I don't know. And they wind up using, I don't know what it is, a force shield, a gravity something, I don't know.
Something.
And they wind up being able to transport Godzilla and Rodan from Earth to their planet by basically towing them. I don't know how else to word it.
It's a tractor beam.
Yeah, towing them via a tractor beam, which totally looks like 2 empty suits being dragged through the air on fake, what are you going to do? So they bring the monsters to their planet. They also bring the astronauts and a scientist named Sakurai with them. And the monsters wind up fighting against Ghidorah Ghidorah. I'm going to stick with Ghidorah. They wind up fighting against Ghidorah because they didn't kick his ass hard enough in the last movie. I don't know. So they have this big fight, and Ghidorah flies off. For a monster that looks really intimidating and everyone's so afraid of him, Ghidorah seems like kind of a puss. The thing is, Glenn and Fuji have finally decided, there's more to this than, there's something up here.
They're going to Scooby-Doo all over the place on Planet X.
Yeah, but they don't have any hot girls like Daphne with them. Enough with the Wayne's World jokes, please. So they sneak off, and they find 2 native women to the planet, as it turns out, they look exactly like Namakawa. All the women on this planet look like Namakawa. So I don't know if they're all clones or what the deal is with that. You think Glenn would be thrilled, but apparently not. The guards find the astronauts, snooping around, and they're all like, you're not supposed to be here. Go back to the throne room. So they go back, and the controller's all like, you really shouldn't have done that. We would have shown you around on your own, on our own, but I mean, it is kind of rude when you think about it. They are walking around somebody else's house without permission. It's kind of not cool.
Well, they've kind of gotten suspicious.
Well, yeah, they're suspicious now. Yeah, now we're getting to the next part of the movie, which should have just been called "They Were Right." So they are given a tape they're given a tape by the aliens that is supposed to, have the information on it about this cure that's supposed to cure every disease, et cetera, et cetera. And the thing is, they leave Godzilla and Rodan on Planet X in case Ghidorah comes back. And also, how the hell are they going to get them back to Earth anyway in their rocket? That's not happening. So they bring the tape to the Ersatz United Nations, because they don't actually go to the United Nations. And they play the tape, but the tape is not what it turns out to be. The tape is definitely not, oh, hey, here's the cure for every disease ever. The tape is actually something much worse. The best of Justin Bieber. No, it's not. I'm sorry. I thought that would get a bigger laugh. Okay, anyway.
That was rude.
I was gonna say Taylor Swift, but I was afraid I actually was afraid you'd throw something at me if I said Taylor Swift.
I can do that too.
It turns out the tape is basically the Zillions saying, yeah, we're taking over your planet. And that if you don't if you don't pull a surrender Dorothy, we are going to sick Godzilla, Rodan, and Ghidorah on you because, oh, by the way, we control them now. So,
dun dun dun!
Yeah. In a twist that M. Night Shyamalan would have, laughed at, Glenn goes to Namakawa's office and finds her wearing the clothes of the Zillion people because, gasp, she's an alien and a spy.
Oh.
And she admits...
It's a twist.
It's
very twisty.
It's another twist. It's so twisty. And she admits, yes, I'm a spy, but I'm in love with you and I'm so torn and I don't know what to do because my people, my love, my people, my love, all that kind of crap. And her commander...
I'm her mother, I'm her sister, I'm her mother,
No! Oh, crying out loud, no, we're not doing that again. So her commander winds up showing up and they capture Glenn and then they decide, yeah, you've outlived your usefulness, bang. And Namakawa winds up getting killed. But before she gets killed, she manages to get a note to Glenn. She slips a note into his pocket of his outfit. Glenn is put in the same cell with Tetsuo. You remember him, the inventor from earlier on? They read the note that Namakawa slipped to Glenn before she got killed by her own people, which really sucks. And it turns out that the reason that she got Tetsuo's invention and, was going to keep the plans hidden forever and never market this thing is because the sound from this device, besides being incredibly ear-piercing and would probably make every dog in Japan's head explode, the sound can disrupt the electronics that the Zillions use to pilot their ships, to control Godzilla and the other monsters, and also, it really screws them up. Mm-hmm. What are you grinning about?
I wish I had some bubble wrap.
Why?
Because when you said heads explode, I could just go pop, pop.
Ew!
Pop. Anyway.
Oh my frog, what is wrong with you?
I have to do something. This is basically your show. I'm just a straight man here.
How is that different from any other show we do?
Oh, thank you. All right, go ahead.
Sorry. No, actually, you're really funny on your own, too. So, as it turns out, Tetsuo actually has a prototype of this device with him, because of course he does. And he uses it, and the guards are completely incapacitated. And it also messes up the electronics enough that they can get out of the cell they're in and get out of the building and flee. So Sakurai and Fuji work together and they make a device that breaks the control that the aliens have over all of the monsters, which I'm like, I don't know if you really want to do that. And Glenn and Tetsuo show up and say, hey, we found out that sound really messes with them. And what the monsters have arrived on Earth, all three of them, and they're now going to start attacking. And they use the sound from Tetsuo's device. They broadcast it over the radio after telling everybody in Japan, turn your radios up. You think they also would have told everybody in Japan, take your dogs and put them in the cellar or whatever, but they didn't do that. And so they turn on Tetsuo turns on his little, pocket alarm thing. Piercing shriek goes out all over Japan, and that breaks the control. So now Godzilla and Rodan and Ghidorah are of their own mind, and they're not following the aliens' plans anymore, which is great, except for the fact that now you've got three pissed off monsters that are going, what the hell are we doing here? And that turns into a big fight. And the Zillions, because they can't fly away because the sound is messed with their electronics, they wind up blowing up their ships because they don't want to be caught. As I mentioned, now you've got three confused, pissed off monsters, so they do the only thing they can think of to do. They start beating each other up. Because reasons. And they wind up fighting, like I said, a big fight. And then the I don't want to say traditional, but I can't come up with another way to put it. The trope of everybody falls off a cliff, because that seems to be a constant thing in monster movies. You have the slow motion fall off the cliff. They use that almost as much as Disney uses death by falling for villains. So Ghidorah winds up.
Insert Wilhelm scream here.
Yep. So Ghidorah winds up breaking out of the water, flying back up into space, and he's just, again, like, screw you guys, I'm going home. We don't see what happens to Godzilla or Rodan, but there is speculation amongst the humans that they're still alive, and they probably just went back to wherever they were resting. We haven't invented Monster Island yet, so that's coming later. Don't worry about it. Fuji finally realizes that his sister's boyfriend is actually a decent guy and obviously a pretty smart cookie, because he figured out all this stuff that wound up thwarting the aliens, and he doesn't think badly of him anymore, and he's all like to his sister, okay, he's not so bad, you can date him. And she's like, oh great, I was going to date him anyway. And, well, she was.
She was, yeah.
The thing is, as it turns out, Glenn and Fuji aren't, they're not done yet. Sakurai wants to send them back to Planet X to study the planet more. In the dub from England, the English dub says they're supposed to be sent back as ambassadors.
For what?
I don't know. I'm like, why are you going to send? There's obviously still women up there, and they were on the ships, Yeah. And the astronauts both have that kind of, oh, here we go again kind of thing, and the movie ends and the Earth is safe, the end.
Seriously, this movie, the aliens are just aliens by virtue of their Nehru-style plastic outfits and ridiculous sunglasses. They're
either aliens or a precursor to Devo.
Yeah.
We're not sure
I'm like,
which.
what the hell? The characters are fun, and I don't know why they didn't give Glenn a first and or last name.
Yeah, really, that's so annoying. Oh my gosh.
But they didn't. It's entertaining as hell because of the goofy aliens in it, and because of the I don't normally like slapstick comedy, but the inventor guy is quite funny.
Yeah.
And it's very slapsticky in places.
It is.
Of course, this movie starred Nick Adams as Astronaut Glenn and Akira Takarada, who does tons of these movies and all of these movies, types of movies, throughout his career as astronaut Fuji.
Yeah. Haruo Nakajima back in the Godzilla outfit again. Masaki Shinohara as Rodan, and Shoichi Hirose as King Ghidorah. I should bring that up.
And not to forget that this was the latest in the film line of Godzilla films to be directed by Ishiro Honda and music with Akira Ikefube.
Yep.
They did not do a whole cycle of them eventually in the late 60s and early 70s where the second string team took over.
Yep. This is also the film that a lot of people will remember for one specific scene, which I still don't get. There's a scene on Planet X where Godzilla and Rodan, mostly Godzilla, I'm going to say that because I'm biased, have whomped on King Ghidorah, and he's all like, I'm flying away because I've been beaten. And Godzilla, to celebrate, does this, I don't know what the hell you'd call it, little
Russian dance?
Jumpy dance thing. And I'm like,
this is where they were making the permanent transition to children's character.
This is when I was sitting there going, I was, I mean, like I said, I'm a G fan. I will never not be a G fan, but that is one part where I'm like, could we fast forward, please? Just a little, you know. I guess this was some kind of a move in Japan. This was, I mean, it was like a dance move or something that was very popular at the time. And it was basically to
what,
put
like the Macarena?
That's what I was gonna say. That's exactly what I was gonna say. It was basically if you did it in if you put it in an American, put an American lens on it, for lack of a better word, it would be like Godzilla. Or actually, no, I don't think the Macarena is actually right because that takes too long.
Yeah.
Because that dance is 97 steps.
Right.
It's more like a victory dance or a victory celebration, like a football player would do when they do a
right.
touchdown.
It looks like the Russian dance.
It looks like that, but it's like I said, putting an American flair on it, it would be like Godzilla winning and then doing the Cabbage Patch or the Running Man or something like that, which would be hilarious. Legendary. If anybody from you people is hearing this, don't do that. But it's fun. I mean, it is a fun movie. Like I said, it is. You are seeing Godzilla tipping more toward hero actions as opposed to just violent, unpredictable force of nature. It's not bad. It's not one of my favorites, but it's not bad. So
tomorrow's show, we're going to take a look at at one of those films that doesn't carry the Godzilla name, but is in the Godzilla au revoir, as we were saying last week. Once again, familiar faces here, coming in as what in America was known as Godzilla versus the Sea Monster. The actual title is Ebirah, Horror of the Deep. It's Godzilla versus a giant lobster. We'll talk about that tomorrow.
Yep.
On the Big G Tokyo Town StompDown from Subject Cinema, Kaiju Corner, and eCinemaOne. Until then, I'm TC Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
We will see you tomorrow.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Big G Tokyo Town StompDown from Subject Cinema, Kaiju Corner, and eCinemaOne.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.
PNR.